Today I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Today we shall have a look at several pens, because this is the ho 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 merriest time of the year. And this is the time where I do my greatest of all time video. Now, if you are a regular viewer of these videos, you know that the opening monologue is about as long as the rest of the video, because I have to address a couple things. So first of all, I thought what I do this year is not call it greatest of all time, period. I thought I would call it greatest of the year, GOTY, because every year it's pointed out, and quite correctly so, it's not really the greatest of all time pens when you do it every year and then you change your opinion every year. So for those of you not familiar with these videos, what I will do is I go over 10 plus 1 of my absolute favorite pens this year. It's always difficult. It's very difficult to select them appropriately. And I always have to leave out some pens. Now, bear in mind, this is my list of my favorite pens of this year. Why is there no Mont Blanc? Because I don't own any. Why is there no Pelican? Because I don't own any. Why is the Pilot Custom 823 not on it? Because obviously it's the greatest pen ever made, and if it's not on your list, then you are wrong and you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, this is my private list of 10 pens that I found I have reached for most often this year. That's it. It's not a review. I've reviewed all these pens. I think I have that right next to me. That's why I'm looking there. I think I have a nice selection of pens for you. A couple of these came out this year. Some of them are therefore quite new, but they have grown on me tremendously to the point that I've been using them a lot. That's why I picked them. You will see some evergreens on the list that have been there almost every year, if not every year. And you will see some that, correction, you will not see some that have been on the list last year. And that's interesting in its own regard, but it's a dynamic phenomenon, right? So it's my list, that's all. If nothing else, it provides a bit of eye candy. I have the feeling people enjoy these videos. I don't want to waste your time, so let's just go over the pens. I will talk about each of these pens for a little bit. These are typically long videos. Then I will do a writing sample, show you a bit how it writes. But the emphasis on why did these 10 plus 1 pens make the cut this year? What is it about them that is so interesting to me? I'm going to start with, and they're in no particular order either, I'm going to start with the Visconti Speakeasy. It's a weird pen. It has a hidden compartment for alcohol, and I don't drink, but I absolutely love it. The celluloid in my mind is absolutely beautiful. I've had this pen for a long time. I think this goes back to 2015, but I would have to check. So I've had it for a long time. It's a Visconti, so several parts have fallen off over the years. This part has come off, and this ring has come off, and this whole part has become kind of wobbly. But there we are. It now has a new nib. A nib has been on there for a while. It's one of the new Visconti gold nibs. It came with a palladium nib. I really like this. I like this pen. And one of the issues with it is that it's hard to use because it's a big pen, but because of that hidden alcohol compartment in the back, there's almost no space for an ink reservoir. So I struggle tremendously to find a proper converter. And I finally found, courtesy of Joost Appelboom, that Kaweco fold-away converter, which I have reviewed. If it's not up yet, the review is coming. But that allows me to use bottled ink much more easily, and I really like it. Now, the reasons I like this pen is I think it's beautiful, it's great, it's a beautiful large size, it's quite heavy too because of that metal compartment inside. It's weird, it's gimmicky, it has a little ring you can turn, and then you can see different bits of alcohol, different like alcohol types in this window, which I'm sure the camera will not pick up. But in that window right now it says rum. You can keep turning that and you get vodka, and you get grappa because it is an Italian pen. And you can keep going until you hit the Visconti logo. So it's kind of the joke, right? That you can label what alcohol is in your compartment. Anyway, that's not why I like it. I just like it because of its size. I love the material so much. I don't know if the lighting is such that I can show you the inside of the blind cap, but I've always really loved the way that looks. It's a very interesting insight into that celluloid. I just think it's a wonderful pen. And now this gold nib with an easier way to fill it, it's easier to use. It writes wonderfully. I just love it. And again, that celluloid has always stood out to me. I remember buying it with Paul Rutte when he still worked at Akkerman in The Hague, and I came in and he said, I have a pen that made me think of you, and then he opened it up and it comes with a hip flask and it's alcohol themed, and he said, I mean, not because of the theme, just because it's a bigger size. And I thought it was hilarious. So anyway, that was, it's a lovely pen, been with me for a long time, and it is very dear to me. Okay, number 2 in the lineup, and if anyone is really feeling it and wants to do timestamps, then by all means, go ahead. This pen was a gift. It's the Shiseido Kakari, and I will say it's a lovely pen. You will find, a little spoiler alert, that the Conid is not, Conid King Size Bulk Filler has been on the list for a couple of years, is not this year. I don't think I like the Shiseido more than the Conid. I've done a shootout. They have similar, not identical, similar filling systems. They have similar looks with my versions anyway, with the titanium and the clear reservoirs. For me, they're on par. But because the Shiseido was new to me, I thought it would be fun to put that on. For me, they're interchangeable in use. I might maybe have a slight preference for the Conid, but that's just because I find that filling system a little easier to use. I think I just need more practice with this one. It's a wonderful pen. Right now it has on it a humble, simple narwhal nib, Navalur nib. This is a stub nib, but it writes very nicely. The gold does not look great with the titanium trim, but I do really like the way it writes, and at the end of the day, that's what you use a pen for, isn't it? So let's take a second to appreciate what an incredibly generous gift this is from a viewer, because these are not cheap pens, but I've had an enormous amount of fun with it, and it's a lovely, lovely writer, massive ink capacity, so it'll keep going for days and days. I love it. I really love it. So a great pen, and I can't wait to show you how it writes with that narwhal nib on it. The next pen in the lineup is one that I've also had for a couple of years now. It remains a favorite. It's the Lambrou Pens LB6, large pen. The material is stellar in my mind, a diffusion bonded acrylic, incredibly deep red, and those striations on it are just beautiful. I fiddled a lot with the nib. Right now it has a Bock broad nib on it, titanium nib. Came with a gold nib. I'm just experimenting a bit with different nibs. Number 8 nib, Bock nib, very easy to switch out. The pen is beautiful. It was a limited edition of 10 pens. This is number 6, which I always thought was fun. You know, LB6, number 6. Handmade by Paul Rossi, the great pen maker. Unfortunately, he has passed away. But the great thing about being an artist is that when you pass away, your art lives on. And especially when it comes to making usable art like pens, people use it, right? All over the world, people use it. Paul Rossi did many great things. I think this is a beautiful pen he made. This is the faceted model. There is also a completely rounded off finish, which I secretly feel I also kind of need, but these are very expensive pens, so I probably never will have one. But I think the faceted model is great, and it really does show off the material very nicely. Just look at that cap and how it captures the light. It almost reminds me of Gothic church windows, just because of their shape, and again the way they then capture the light. So I really love it. It's a pen that's very dear to me. Large, definitely oversized, very girthy, but I still find it fairly comfortable. Not as comfortable as some, truth be told, but I do find comfortable. Lovely nib right now, just a very pleasant writer. And frankly, I find much like the Speakeasy also a bit of a conversation piece. People start to ask questions when you whip that pen out, because it's bigger, because it's so bright, because all kinds of different things. So that's interesting. And now I move to something a little different. So number 4, this is a pen that I find really fascinating. It's the inventory pocket pen, and that is definitely in a quite different price range from the pens I've just shown you. I like it a lot. This is the second version. Many years ago I reviewed the inventory pocket pen, and then those seemed to disappear a bit from the market, and recently I was contacted by the creator of these pens. He's now making them entirely in the US, and he has different materials. I kept this brass for myself. I think it has a lot of cool features. So first of all, forgive me for doing this off camera, but it's a little nauseating if someone does this fully on screen. There is a middle part to the pen which you can take out, and when you take it out, you just have a pocket pen. Here's that, they call it the extender, if I'm not mistaken. Kaweco does something similar with their Supra. It works well. You just can't use the converter, so it's a little finicky, and I really wonder why I felt the strong urge to demonstrate this on air, but you know, there you are. Lovely pens. They also come with a rollerball tip, so you have either fountain pen or rollerball. You can use fountain pen ink with your rollerball tips, and it works very well. And this one in particular I found, I'm just trying to post it. It has a screw-on bit at the end so it can post. Schmidt number 5 nib. This is a fine, actually, writes beautifully, very smooth, and I found it really comfortable, so I definitely kept this for myself. The other two, they sent me two finishes I gave away to people, but this one I kept. I love it, and I basically only use it like this. I don't, once in a while I get this urge to use a rollerball, I don't know why, and then I do this, and then that's fine. Brass patinas beautifully, it has a nice weight to it. I think it's a lovely pen, and because it writes so nicely, it's really pleasant to use. Great pen for the office, rolls off your desk, no issue. It's robust. I really like it, and I quite like the way it's designed too. I like the original design. This new design has a couple of updates. I'm not going to go into all that now because this is going to be such a long video. But watch the review if you're interested. And I think it's just a lovely pen, very nice everyday writer. Okay, that was number 4 of 10 plus 1. Now, moving on, I selected this pen as number 5. This is the Titan Pens Relo version 2.0. My dear friend William Shakur makes these. He's made a lot of pens. I've reviewed a bunch of his pens. He 3D prints them. I think it's a fantastic model. It's triangular, right, with rounded off sides, hence Relo. It has a piston filler. So look at the massive capacity. Basically, this entire reservoir fills with ink. You write with this for a very long time. I love the way he makes it. It reminds me of the Omas 360. This one, though, has a very comfortable section. He makes a beautiful section with facets that are kind of rounded off. Super comfortable to hold. Big pen, does not post, doesn't need to post. It's huge. It's lovely. Now, mine is a little special. And the reason for that is it has a number 7 Jowo nib. These nibs, as far as I know, are discontinued. And I had a pen that I used this with. And that pen was made by Josh, who was known online as B.R.E Pens. He made pens out of micarta. He made me one with a section for number 8 Bock nib and a different section for number 8 Jowo nib. But, did I say number 7 for some reason? And I have this weird, I meant number 8. If I said number 7, that was wrong, sorry. That B.R.E pen I always use with the Bock nib. So I kind of had this orphaned number 8 Jowo nib, and I asked William if he could make me a pen around it. And he said sure, and it took a little while to get it right, but it's beautiful. Now, I love the pen. The nib is fantastic. This nib never runs dry. You have a massive ink reservoir. It never stops being wet or anything. It just keeps going and going, page after page after page. But what makes it additionally special to me is that Josh passed away this year. And I bought the nib from him. And even though it's not on his pen, it's still a nib that reminds me of him. So when I use this pen, I'm reminded of two great people. There was Josh, Pen Prike, and then there is William, who created this pen for me to accept this particular nib. Beautiful pen. I love the translucent gray. It's a fantastic material to me. Works really, really well. This too, conversation starter. Recently I had this on a desk and a colleague said, is that some kind of special pen? Is that ergonomic? Is that what? So it was very interesting, the whole conversation. Fantastic writer. I can't wait to show you. Number 6 is another large pen. This is the Magna Carta Mag 1000. I believe it came out this year, but things blur together at some point. Large pen, very vintage inspired, and what makes it special is that it has a number 10 nib. So just because it's funny, I had that number 5 Schmidt nib here. I'll hold it, I'll try to line them up properly. You see the difference. So a lot of the pens I've shown you had, well actually 2 of the pens I've shown you had number 8 nibs. There was the LB6 and that Relot, and the other 2, the Cusado and the Visconti, have number 6 nib. This is a number 10 nib with an ebonite feed. It's huge. It's also an eyedropper fill pen. Now, little trick I found out. It comes with a converter too. It takes a converter, but the problem is that entire converter basically empties into the feed. And I found it doesn't write very well. It's quite dry. When you fill this up with ink, and what I did, I had a bottle of, with a little bit of Fountain Pen Revolution Mardi Gras ink in it. I just took the bottle and I poured it in the barrel. So what was left is now in this pen. Large capacity. Fantastic writer, fairly stiff nib. This is the medium. There's also a fine. I love these, the way these are made. I mean, look at that nib. It's just insane. Large pen. It's fairly no frills, but it's well made. What is rounded off is what should be rounded off is rounded off. I think it looks good. Again, very vintage look. I just love the enormous nib. It's just fun to use. And this is the kind of pen. If I have some ink left in a bottle, too much to put in one converter, but you know, I just pour it in something like this and I use it up. Very simple. Okay, number 2, 4, 6, 7. Number 7 is the Yardelet. It's the Viceroy Grand, the Victorian finish. This is one of the ultimate pens in the world, if you ask me. They're expensive. They're handmade in the UK. It takes a few thousand hand strikes by hammer. I meant hammer strikes by hand to create this pattern. It's sterling silver. This was a gift from John, a viewer, quite a couple of years ago. It was still in the Netherlands. I have had it since. I use it regularly. It's a beautiful pen. It has a delicious 18 karat broad nib. It's not too broad. It's just wonderful. It writes. It always writes. It starts up straight away. I just put in the last bit of Leonardo blue that I had. I love that ink. I think they may have changed the formulation, someone said online. I love it in this pen, dark blue. It's just fantastic. The nib sings a bit. Some people hate that. I love it. It's fantastic. And when you hold this, you feel the artistry in it. It looks beautiful. It develops a delicious patina, as you can see on top there, but even if you can't see it, that's fine. You can polish that off if you want to. I just love it. Fantastic pen. You feel the weight of the silver. It feels solid. It feels robust. It's made by master artisans who know exactly what they're doing. The different silversmiths who create these pens can identify their own patterns, I've understood. So if you could send this, if you send this to the UK, whatever, they'll be able to, oh yeah, he made that, you know, that sort of stuff. I think it's fantastic. They're very expensive. And in my mind, this is one of the few times in the pen business that you actually get what you pay for. This pen is actually worth every penny. Most pens I don't think are. The Speakeasy is nice. I love it. That was not worth penny for penny what I paid for it. This is. Not because of the silver content, just because of the craftsmanship, the way it's made. Sympathetic company. small company, been around for a long time. I love it. So very, very dear to me. And again, all the more special because it was a gift from a viewer, right? That's like the Crusader. That's quite the gift. Okay, we have 3 plus 1 pens left. And 7, I said 8. Yes, number 8. I know, it's very hard to count when you sit here and you look at all those pens. It's too many to subitize. It was like 7, I could be... Anyway, forget about science. Here's number 8. The Desiderata pens Sobriquet. As they come in different finishes. They come in... Pierre, right, he makes them out of all kinds of different woods. I'm not really a wood pen guy. First of all, Alberta, where I live, is very dry, so I'm always nervous about wood cracking. But hey, there's nothing wrong with a good acrylic. This, in my mind, beautiful acrylic, I think it's more than translucent, transparent. You can see the ink in there. I like to use this yellow ink. It's not the greatest of, right, it's Lamy Mango. I do like it. It's not the greatest on video necessarily, but I love because it's a transparent ink, so you can look through the pen, through the ink. For some reason, I like that. A pump filler system, very simple, very elegant, works very well, has a nice capacity. And the story of this pen is Pierre sent me a couple pens to review. And I send them back when I'm done. And I told him this one though, how much? And I also, we were WhatsApp, we were chatting, and I for some reason came up, I just published something. And he just gave it to me. He said, I know that's important to academics, so I want you to have something nice, which is incredibly kind. It's really useful to have pen makers as friends. No, but in all seriousness, that kind of kindness and generosity, I think is vitally important to me. It matters. And that's why sorry to go on a slight sidetrack here, that's why it bugs me when people allude at me being spoiled because I get sent a lot of pens. Most of those pens I send back. And if I don't send them back, I just told you with this inventory, I got 3 of those pens. 2 of them I gave away to people, right? So, I mean, it's also not that I keep all this stuff. Anyway, so if once in a while I get to keep something, that's nice. And in this case, it was an actual gift, not a matter of, we'll send you something to review and then keep it, but something, and you know what? Keep that as my gift to you. That makes it more special. To me, that makes it more special. Those kinds of things really add to the enjoyment of the pen for me, because now someone has shown me tremendous kindness. So, a lovely pen comes with a kind of fine stub that Pierre grinds. I'll show you that when I do it. It's incredibly pleasant to hold, just a really pleasant, comfortable pen. And I will never not say this. These are the most amazing threads I have ever seen on a pen. You can barely feel. This is not a little sharp. You don't feel them. It just feels like gentle ribs. Amazing how he does that. I will absolutely say that. So, lovely pen. And again, look at the material. Isn't this beautiful? I think it's just a stellar, stellar material. Okay, I didn't lose track this time. 9, because now I can count from the other way. Here's a pen I didn't think I would like very much, but I did. This is the Enso Bolt retractable pen. I use this in the periods, which is quite a lot, when I teach statistics, because statistics and math, you have to write down hand calculations, and you need a fine nib. Anyone who's done the math, they know. If not, you do the math. Okay, so it has a retractable nib with this sort of bolt mechanism, which you find in other pens, but it works. Nice, fine nib, and when you're done, it retracts, and then the nib is gone. So great. I haven't found any leakage. It has a silicone patch in there with a sort of a plus math sign cut out that the nib pushes through. I haven't found it to dry out. I haven't found it to leak. I haven't found any of these things. It's just lovely. I want to say it's titanium. I could be wrong. I'm sorry. It's been a while that I did the review. The material is gimmicky. I don't, if it would not be a retractable nib, I would also like it, I think, because I don't care an awful lot about retractable nib pens, but what I will say is lovely nib. A really, really pleasant nib to use, smooth, nice and fine, but not scratchy. So I really like it. It's another one that I was sent to review and that I kept for myself because I just really like it. You can also disassemble this entire thing. Every part comes out, so you can lubricate things wherever you want. It's great, and a lovely, lovely writer. I wish, nudge, nudge, Carlo, that they would make this but a bit girthier. Okay, I have pens 10 plus 1 left. Number 10 is very special to me. This is another pen made by William Shakur. This is what I have dubbed the Great Exposition. So I think in the past year, if not past 2 years, I have had the Conway Stewart Great Exhibition in my GOTY video. A beautiful pen, looks like this, except I'm assuming it's ebonite type material, but whatever it is, it has a silver overlay, silver filigree made by Henry Simple, who sadly also passed away. Beautiful pen. My concern with that pen was that it's a little fragile, and I want to, it's quite expensive, I want to make sure I don't accidentally destroy it. And so I did see some sort of hairline fissures that I don't think are cracks yet, but I want to be very careful that I preserve that because Henry Simple has passed away, because of his artwork. But I also really love that pen. So I went to William Shakur, who is, by royal appointment, my personal pen maker, and I said, so would you theoretically be able to print and create something like that, basically the same dimensions, obviously not the silver filigree, and people, before anyone goes there, I know it's not the same, I know it's a completely different level, I know there's no silver overlay, I know that because I can see. Okay, so I asked William and I said, hey, can you, he said, yes. Make me a drawing of like dimensions, terrible drawing because I made it, and I said, here, do this, and then this came in the mail a while later. Beautiful pen, 8-inch pens, enormous, eyedropper filled, I think it holds 15, you heard that right, milliliters of ink. I mean, you can see how much ink is in here, look at the size of that, it's enormous. Number 8 nib, to put things in perspective, double broad, B.R.E titanium nib, fantastic nib, juicy, delicious. I love using it. Fantastic pen. And what I love about this is, first of all, William did not say I was insane, but he actually took the effort to make the pen for me, which is great because obviously I can only review stuff. I can't create anything, right? Like, I'm completely useless. So it's lovely when you have people again like that in your circles who then say, I think I can create what you want. And he did, and it was lovely. I use it a lot. The ink lasts forever. I think since I've had it, I've refilled it 2 times, maybe 3 times, but I don't use it every day. Of course, when I do, of course the ink goes down faster, but 15 milliliters of ink is insane. There are 20 milliliter bottles of ink, so 15 milliliters is insane. It's tremendous though. It's very comfortable, and now I have the feeling of using a pen like the Great Exhibition, but without the fragility of that pen. So that can be saved for future generations and go to some museum. But here you go. So beautiful pen. I absolutely love it. Love it. Love it. It's fantastic. Speaking of conversation pieces, this made some tongues wag, as the kids say. Skibbity. Now, 10 plus 1. Number 11. It's the B.R.E brown pen. I mean, it would be obscene if I would not have this in the lineup. Triple international, quadruple international, now that I think of it. Collaboration. The material made by Jonathan Brooks in the US, fantastic, deep, dark brown with golden swirls. I think it came out really nicely, but obviously I'm the most biased person on earth. Created by Salvatore in Italy, of Leonardo pens. This is the Momento Zero Grande. It's the 2.0, so it has an ink window and you can disassemble the piston, which is great. Sold by Joost Appelboom in the Netherlands, so that's 3 countries, and I'm in Canada, and my job was saying, "Oh yeah, you do the thing. Can you make where you put the thing in?" And then people did that. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of rhodium colored rings. The 3 symbolize 30 years I had on Earth, soon to be 40, February 23rd, 2024, 40 years old. And then the final ring is the magnificence of Joost, who, when you write with it, it's always on top. I made all that up on the spot, but you know, there you are. I think what we should do is stop this endless banter, tilt the camera down, and have a look at how all these pens write. Let's do that. Okay, here we go. This is the paper from the Pelikan Hubs, which is not the greatest paper, but you'll forgive me. I think it'll do the job. So here we have that wonderful Speak Easy. It's just such a lovely celluloid, and I love it so much. Oh, by the way, in my ranting about Visconti, some of the enamel came out as well, by the way, but I don't care, because it's all okay. I think I should maybe zoom in just a little bit more. Okay, so here we have the Visconti Speak Easy. This is Monteverde Red. Lovely broad nib, which clearly is not the broadest on Earth, but nice and smooth. Like the way it writes. Nice, bigger pen. Very comfortable to me. Heavy, but comfortable. Okay, next. The Cusado. I kind of like it with this purple ink in it. I think it looks good. But, you know, who am I? It's also, when you flick them around a lot, ink everywhere. Sorry, I had to clean that up. So here we have the Cusado Kakari with the stub nib from Narwhal. This is also, I have a couple of Monteverde inks this year, and that's just the way it is, sorry. Purple. I think this is quite a nice purple. It's fairly tender, and it has, especially in nice broader nibs, has a bit of cool shading too, which I think is quite nice. Very pleasant pen. And just a cool filling system, big capacity. I just love these things. Here it is. Look at that material, folks. It's just beautiful. With the beautiful silver trim as well. This is, I'm almost certain this is Schaefer Script Red, not, usually I have Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red in it, but I'm almost certain this time I had some Script. Broad titanium nib. Just really nice, very comfortable. Again, very girthy pen, but I do absolutely love the way it handles and writes. Okay, then we have this nice inventory pocket pen. The 2.0 version. This is the fine nib. I am sorry that doesn't fully line up, but Monteverde Garnet is the ink, an ink that I've come to grow really fond of. I really like this hue. And in even wetter nibs, of course, it shows off a little better. Again, this is also not the greatest paper. It's a little absorbent, so you don't show off the ink beautifully, but take my word for it. It's a nice ink, I think. Okay, I think we can fit one more on there. Let's look at the Reulo. Also version 2.0. This is Edelstein Moonstone Gray, which, just because of the finish of the pen, I've just found an incredibly good match. And frankly, since I've had this pen, it's been inked up. I haven't had anything else but this ink in it. I just think, look at the material and then look at the ink. I just think it is a very, very good fit. So there is that. This is fairly dry. I mean, you may want, if you want to see, sorry, if you want to see the wetness, it's a nice wet writer. Very, very pleasant. Okay, and just because that's wet, I'm just gonna use a new sheet of paper instead of turning it over. The Mag 1000. Ganz große Feder, a very large nib. Magna Carta. This is a medium nib. The ink is Fountain Pen Revolution Mardi Gras, which is a very interesting ink, dark purple, but with a green sheen. Mardi Gras, right? The colors. This is a nib that I have made a little bit wetter. I found it fairly dry when I got it. I've made it a little bit wetter just to suit my preferences. It was easy to do, and yeah, just lovely. It's just a wonderful write. And I look at that feed. It's just it's almost perverse, right? But it's fantastic. I love it so much. My dear old friend, the Yard Lead. I think it was 2013 or early 2014 that John sent me that. In the Victorian finish with a broad nib. And like I said, my last bit of the old Leonardo blue. It's a delicious writer. It just, the silver has such a nice weight to it without it being excessive, without it being, I mean, I've used Chinese pens, that the Dragon pen that was like 100 grams. This is heavy. I want to say it was something like 60 grams. So it's definitely heavy, but not so much that it tires out your hand. So very pleasant, sorry, to use. And again, a great conversation piece, beautiful artisanal pen in my mind. The shape, the size, everything works great. This is the grind. You can get the standard size or the pocket size if you want something smaller. They're equally beautiful. I have done reviews and shootouts with the three of them, sorry. But fantastic pen. Absolutely, absolutely lovely. And a great, in my mind, great everyday writer. Even though it is fancy, it's just very reliable, always starts up straight away, always writes. It's just really, really nice. Okay. The Sobriquet. Again, beautiful material. Now you can see it a little bit better when it's not my face behind it. Beautiful transparency. And again, I love it. You can see an ink in it. And when that ink is translucent itself, to me, it just looks really good. Very comfortable. Again, the yellow, I know it's not the greatest in videos, but I do think it's legible enough to be able to use it. And sorry, it's a Lamy Mango, right? So this is a fine nib. Lamy Mango is the ink. I've been writing that, haven't I? Lamy, completely illegible over everything, but there we go. There we are. Lamy Mango. Great pen. And a nice size too. There is a larger model the Doomcar, which is much like it if you like something girthier. For me, I found this to be very usable. So the Bolt retractable pen, Enso. Oops. I did just ink them up, so usually this is something that starts straight away. I believe this is a fine nib, and it's Mont Blanc Irish Green. And like I said, nice bit finer. To those who care. It works well for math, is what I'm saying. And when you're done, it retracts. Okay. I think this is dry now, so I'm going to flip that over. We have 2 pens to go. The Great Exposition. And I mean, here's the cap, right? I'll try to zoom out just a sec. And then here is the inventory pen. You see the issue. Okay. It's just so massive, it's comical. Okay, that's what she said. Now, here we have the Titan pens Great Exposition. This is a double broad titanium nib. The ink is, of course, S.B.R.E. Brown in probably the wettest variant I've ever seen this. It looks much darker than it often does. You'll see that in the next pen, I think, but brown. Yeah, when I say wet, I really mean it's a very, very wet writer. Delicious, though. I think when the question was, and if you catch the movie reference, bonus points, but dost thou want to live deliciously? This is the pen you then use. Okay, let's hope the camera picked it up and it wasn't super weird and awkward. S.B.R.E. Brown, yeah, I love it. And just to be sure, there was a bit of variation in the materials. Here's the regular size. You can see here the swirls are much more noticeable, but I always use the Momento Zero Grande because it's more comfortable to me. And I kind of like it because it's so dark. From a distance, it almost looks like a black pen, but once you get closer and closer, you see more and more of those swirls, which just looks really good. I think it's, to me, I mean, your mileage may vary. I think it's a great size to a lot of people, the regular for sure, and then this just a little bigger if you want that. So here we have and again, this is S.B.R.E. Brown, by S.B.R.E. Brown, and by really Carolina Pen Company, really by Appelboom. Looks like it says you get the point. Appelboom. Ink is S.B.R.E. Brown. This is a medium nib. And you definitely see the difference in saturation between these two pens. I think it's hilarious. When I ink this pen, it has B.R.E. brown ink in it because, I mean, how could it not? First of all, brown is a good match for the pen, and secondly, non est in toto sanctior orbe locus. This is the holiest of inks, right? In the whole world, there's not a place holier than this. And this is it. So, beautiful, wonderful, I love it. Great pen to me, and I'm the most biased person on earth. But there we have it, 10+1 pens. I should have said this when you could still see my face, but I did not. Thank you, sincerely, for your continued viewership over the years. Some people have been watching my stuff for years now, some for over a decade. It's insane. My channel recently, so I was told by YouTube, turned 15 years old. That's insane. I have grown in many ways. I've become a different person. Many people have grown along with me, have grown up with the channel, which is also a very strange feeling to me. I appreciate it so much. Without viewers, there would be no channel. So it means the world to me. I hope you've had a wonderful holiday break. I hope you've had a good Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. I wish you the very, very best in 2025. Surely I'm not the only one who feels it's very strange that the year is 2025. It feels like it was 1997, 3 years ago. It was not. So I wish you the very best. More stuff coming next year. If you have video ideas, let me know. And thanks so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.